Hi everyone, I'm recording a new explainer for this statistics sheet for grades 3.0, and I'm just going to show you basically what that sheet can help you understand about your classes. I'm very professionally wearing a hoodie and have not shaved, but I hope you'll overlook that. um, so I have here sort of a dummy grade sheet, which looks exactly like the ones that Canvas will output for you if you hit the export button on your grading, the grading tab on Canvas. Um, this is not a FERPA violation. These are fake grades. These are not real people, etc. I deleted any of these columns. This was originally for one of my classes, but I changed all the grades and changed all the people's names and stuff. Anyway, um, so the first step for using this statistics sheet for grades is to make a copy for yourself. I mean, you have the link if you read my blog, but you can't edit it. You can still make a copy of it, make a copy on your own Google Drive and make the edits on your copy. And then I recommend you make a different copy for every class that you want to analyze because the grades only work. I mean, this sheet only works once per one class, right? Or you can only put one class in one sheet. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this works. The first step is to copy, or second step after making a copy of the sheet is to just copy and paste this whole sheet, just the whole thing. Select all by clicking this top left box and hit copy. And then go to cell A1, or you can also select all and paste. And this sheet will use this data to populate all the other sheets you see here, and these sheets have the interesting data. These sheets are why I made this sheet here, okay? Okay, so I don't want to touch this anymore, and I also don't want to touch this last sheet called cleaned up. That's only for the purposes of the Google Sheets algorithms to make computations with, okay? So don't touch that. So I don't want to touch anything else. I just want to look at stuff. Yeah. And the first thing I want to look at is this one called Correls of Assignment Grades with Final Grades. That's correlations of final assignment grades with final grades. Here is a list of all the assignments you made in your class, and it's just copied from the Canvas output sheet that you copied and pasted here. Okay. So don't edit these. These are populated automatically. And for each assignment, you get a correlation with final grade, you get the mean, you get the standard deviation, and you'll see some interesting things right off the bat, like some of them have pretty low average scores. Some of them have pretty low correlations with final grades. That's interesting. So one thing I want to warn you not to do is jump to conclusions based on the output of one class. Like you don't want to jump to the conclusion that listening log 1 in all of your classes is useless for determining final grades just because it has an almost zero correlation. That might just be this class. You want to look at more than one class before you jump to conclusions about things you want to change in your syllabus or your curriculum. It's kind of interesting that there's almost no correlation between this and the final grade, but I don't want to make any big decisions about my classes just from this, because this is only one class. Might have just been an anomaly. The purple rows here are only the high correlations, and this is just filtered from the first rows here. So all the correlations here are just the high ones. And you might want to, I don't know, glance at this, see if there's something that has a really high correlation that's maybe unexpected, like a gimme assignment from early in the term that basically should have very little role in determining final grades, but for some reason is really highly correlated with final grades. If that's happening across all of your classes, it might say something interesting, right? Or on the other hand, if you have a lot of negative correlations in your list of assignments, that could also be, I mean, that's very unexpected because negative correlations mean as one grade goes up, the final grade goes down, which is unexpected because all these assignments are worth positive points, right? So as you see, I don't have any in this particular class, as you would probably expect. But if you do have any, I mean, look for a pattern across multiple classes, and if you find one, it's kind of interesting. Usually I only find them for like extra credit assignments, and that's because people who are getting low grades in the class tend to do more extra credit. So, you know, as extra credit grades go up, final grades go down. It's it's what you might expect. It doesn't always happen, but you might find that. And if you find it, you'll see it here. Anyway, you can also just search these first few rows. Just say, I want to know how people did in discussions and only discussions. I can enter a search term here and it'll just put all the discussions here. So it's case sensitive. So if you want to look for like video, I recommend you put idio, not video, because like the V might be capitalized. And I didn't have any video discussions this term. So what about like presentations? Resentations. Resent. And these are just all the assignments that had this search term in the name. So you got presentation, 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 presentation. Actually, these are blogs about watching other people's presentations. But anyway, you know, if I want to compare just one particular type of assignment, then I'll use these purple rows, kind of a lilac row, to just look for those assignments. So again, the main advice I have is not to leap to conclusions after seeing something that's, you know, oddly high or oddly low on this sheet, because it might have just been that class. You want to look across multiple classes before you think, okay, that assignment's weighting or something else needs to change. All right, so that's the correlation sheet. There are two more sheets that I have to explain here. This one, this gives you the percent of assignments with a score of 0. And I've found this very useful for my classes. If you read my blog, you know that. But I look at these particular values and sometimes they tell me something that I need to change about my curriculum. But this is the percent of assignments with a score of 0. Basically, they didn't turn it in or they plagiarized it. Mostly, they didn't turn it in. These are the percent of assignments with a perfect score. These are the percent of assignments with a score above this value, which in this case is 50%. So that means that Desi, for example, again, not a real person, got above 50% on 100% of her assignments. And Peng only got above 50% on 89.29% of his assignments. If you change this, and you can edit it right here, then all of these will change too, right? So this value is meant to be edited. So yeah, you can edit this sheet. Don't try to edit these ones though. Don't try to edit these cells. That won't produce anything good. Okay. Now, the other half of this sheet is giving you the same data, but it's only a subset of the assignments that come from this sheet here. The second sheet, which is called assignments by name, it's basically the same as, it's the complete list of assignments with grades for each student, except it's filtered by only the assignments that have this in the name, okay? And this sheet uses that sheet, okay, for this data, okay? So if you want to know what percent of assignments students got a score of 0 on only among presentation assignments or only among discussion assignments, then you'll use this sheet to filter down the assignments so you only get the discussions, and then you'll look at this sheet to see how many zeros they got, okay? In this case, most people got zeros on none of them, which is good news. You can also see the assignments that got perfect scores, the assignments that got scores above this value, which in this case is 50%. And again, here you can edit this value and it'll recompute all of these cells based on what you enter here. So let's see, 0.7 is 70%. So like Al got above 70% on 50% of the assignments that match this criteria, which is they have something like discussion in the name, okay? So this would be interesting for you if you wanted to know how students were doing on a particular subset of assignments. Say if you wanted to know, like, did a ton of people miss discussion assignments? It seems like they didn't, which is good. So it copied in, the sheet automatically populated this cell from what you entered on this sheet here. If you want to edit this cell, do it here, not on the results sheet. Sorry. Ooh, go back. Not on this sheet, okay? Don't edit it here. That won't change anything. Okay, so the last sheet is t-tests. t-tests are tests of statistical significance, so I'm just going to leave it at that as far as my explanation of t-tests. So it gives you t for a particular question, and it gives you the mean final scores for the groups on either side of the comparison. In this case, getting zeros on more than X% of assignments, and X is from this row up here. Okay. So in this case, did people who got a 0 on more than 5% of their assignments have statistically significantly different final grades? It seems like they did, at least according to one value of p, but not the other. And this is the mean for people who got zeros on more than 5% of their assignments. This is the mean final grade for people who got zeros on 5% or less of their assignments. And you see that's actually kind of a big gap. Okay, these are two different t-tests. This one is a different t-test that tests all the assignments. This one only uses the assignments by name sheet, so it's only looking at a particular subset of the assignments. And it's running a t-test based on the X that you entered here. The errors here are just because when you run a t-test, you're splitting the student population into two groups and trying to compare them. And again, this sheet's trying to do that automatically. The error is because one of the groups has no people in it, right? So if you change this value, you'll probably get a different, not an error here, okay? All right, so that's my pretty darn quick explanation of this statistics sheet for grades 3.0. Let's see, look at this as just part of your end of semester routine if you're going to use this. Don't look for, big changes in your syllabus every semester by using this sheet. Look for patterns and then look across multiple semesters. And if you see a pattern, for example, extra credit is always positively correlated with final grades, or rough drafts predict final grades more than final drafts do, which are both things that I found in my classes, then consider making changes to your syllabus or curriculum, but don't jump to conclusions based on just what you see on one class, okay? All right, so practice statistics safely. Don't jump to conclusions. All right, I hope that explanation has been helpful. If you want me to make any changes to this, like you want a different kind of t-test here, let me know, and I'll try to make it happen. All right, see you later.